Hello there. So upon request, this is a guitar lesson for Walkin Boss by the Meat Puppets, their version from the first album. It's also, turns out, a traditional work song. It around the same era, it was recorded by Jerry Garcia, David Grissom, and Doc Watson also did a version of it. So theirs is in a different key. The easy answer to the question is D minor, C major, and a version of A minor that is the open E string, first fret on the B string, which is a C, and the second fret on the G string, which is an A. A lot of times that note is being emphasized. Sometimes there's a low A in there, sometimes there's a low E in there. The chords and the fretting are not consistent because the Meat Puppets were on a 3-day acid bender when they recorded this album, and they pretty much just did whatever they wanted. So there's times when I do hear a higher note in the D minor, like this, which indicates, I believe, sometimes he'll be playing it up here around the 5th and 7th frets. So you've got 5th fret here on the A string, 7th fret on the D, 7th fret there on the G, and then your middle finger is going to want to hit that 6th fret on the B string, and then your first finger is going to be barring all the way across. Hit the 5th fret on the high E. But there are other times he's playing that first chord in the progression. Sounds more like it's down here. And the highest note I'm hearing is... And it's got a country vibe to it, it's got a folky vibe to it, which is why you're hearing sometimes, depending on which verse it is, an emphasis of the country bass line going... where the D chord is played, and he bumps down to the A after that. And then he moves down to a C, and he hits the G note, you know, or just the bass player does it sometimes, or the bass player just walks all over creation and it doesn't really matter, and the low end kind of follows out because he's traveling further up the fretboard. So what I hear at the very beginning of the song is that A minor played up here, not with that low note though, just those three. You're putting your fingers here on the 2nd fret of the G and the 1st fret of the B, and hitting that open E string at the very beginning of the track. He's kind of fiddling around with that, and he goes to like he almost plays a C chord, but then he slides up to a D. And then he goes down to your F, low F note on the 1st fret of the E string. Or maybe sometimes it's an E. He slides up to the 3rd fret and then back down. And he sort of does that a couple times, and then when he comes around again... So sometimes you might want to try that alternate bass line picking. So you're playing, starting on the D string, and then bump down to the A string, open, and then hit that chord again. Jumping over that. So you go. Do better than that, though. If you're that consistent, you will be losing the spirit of the recording of the Meat Puppets version of the song, though. And other times I hear the C chord being played with a 3rd fret on the high E string being added in there. So when you hear that ding being on that second, ringing through after that 2nd chord, then to the A minor. And the solo is sort of a blues kind of box pattern. It's your 5th and 7th fret mostly here with the G string and the D string. There's a bend, and then he hits the 5th fret note on the D, which is a G. So the 5th fret on the D string, and then he hits the 2 notes together just above it. So it's 5th fret on the D string, and then 5th fret with these 2 guys on the B and the G string, a little double stop. A lot of bending there in that area, and then he slides kind of up to the, I think the 12th, or excuse me, the 10th fret, and he bends really hard. And he kind of walks back down to this area again. He eventually ends up kind of bending a bunch of strings in that kind of neighborhood until he gets down to the low G. Pulls really hard on it, wiggles it. And that's most of what I hear on that tune. Meat Puppets historians that have more accurate versions of playing this, please do. But everyone else, that's all I got for you. Thanks a lot.